Thanks, Kelly. That's fantastic. Well, firstly, welcome everybody again. It's great to have everybody on board. It is a little bit different, talking down to a video camera as opposed to seeing everybody in person. And we've been doing these user groups for for several years now. I've been involved in them since 2017. We've had a great opportunity during that time to meet a lot of you around the country and in New Zealand as well. And it's been a fantastic time. So it is a little bit of a different environment for us today, but hopefully that you will all take something away from these sessions. Just to expand further upon what Simone talked about, this concept of the connected business. In essence, a connected business is really about providing those sorts of meaningful connections between our systems and our data. From a Exo perspective, we recognize that Exo is very key to all of us in our businesses, providing our source of truth. But how do we actually utilize that data efficiently? How do we integrate that with other systems? How do we leverage that data and give our employees, our people, how do we empower them to have access to the data at that point in time that they need it? The concept of the connected business is brought to the industry by MYOB is really around how do we introduce moments that matter for our employees, for our clients, and for our suppliers? How do we intelligently use information and leverage that accordingly? So the connected business is about elevating that value, the value in the data, the value in our systems, and empowering staff in terms of really ensuring that we're generating those higher value activities. For those of you that attended one of our previous sessions in 2019, we talked about automation and robotics and some of the things that change in the industry, the automation of activities. And we see that some of the roles within our organizations are actually changing over time as more of these processes become automated, as we get more intelligent software that supports intelligent workflows. And we need to really empower staff to move them up the value chain, give them insights and help them make better decisions in terms of how we manage our businesses. In terms of the connected business, it's really about taking us from where we are today, a disconnected organization, often with disconnected systems and varied sources of truth for our data, and actually integrating those into a connected business. We're moving and transitioning those systems from that position of disconnectedness through to that position of connectedness. So within this framework, we essentially have these 4 pillars that Simone alluded to. Complete control being the first one. The empowered workforce, really more important today than ever. Who would have thought in 2020 that we would have so many employees working remotely, away from our offices, away from our people? And the fact is we need to bring them good, clever, useful tools to enable them to do their business more effectively now, more than ever. Real-time insights, of course, in terms of understanding and analyzing our data. And of course, the topic for today, experiences that matter. So just moving on to the next slide, experiences matter really just delves a little bit further in terms of how do we transform our sales and service experience? How do we improve the way that we work, particularly with our customers, but also our suppliers? And really this is about customer satisfaction. Customer satisfaction at Kilimanjaro and Enterprise is something which is very key to us. We have an internal strategy called Client First. And for us, this is actually about making experiences that matter for our clients. And we really see Exo, the software that we provide and support you with, as being key to enabling you and your businesses to support your clients and position them first within your organizations. In some respects, that's also about providing improved visibility over our processes and adapting to change. Of course, at the end of the day, we need to ensure that finance is linked to every aspect of our operation and eliminate those sort of slow, costly, inaccurate processes that can often hold up and really detract from the integrity of our financial reporting. So moving on from here, I'm going to hand over to Murray Dudding, who's actually going to take us through a demonstration of Exo and how we can support you with Exo to essentially bring some of those experiences that matter. He'll also be talking to some exciting new features that are coming soon. But without any further ado, I'll hand over to Murray.
Hello everyone, and thank you, Stephen. So yes, as Stephen's alluded, the presentation that I'm going to provide today is to help you get some of those experiences that matter through three main themes: automation, simplification, and innovation. And the process, I hope to show you that you can make meaningful shifts in both your customers, your suppliers, and your employees' experience, and how to reduce costs at the same time, and do all of that without breaking the bank. With automation, a lot of automation today is based around integrations between Exo and additional software, and we have a number of different very good tools for achieving that, including the Exo API, but also a number of other products available that create very good automations. What I'd like to walk you through today is some of the automations that we can achieve without purchasing any additional software. There's a lot that we can do within Exo and your own SQL database. In the following scenario, I'm going to be working with two databases. One is my retail company, and the other is my import and distribution company. This scenario may not be directly applicable to your business, but hopefully it'll get you thinking about the possibilities of what you can achieve within your own business. So what I'm going to do in this first workflow is create a sales order within my retail company. I'm going to look at my stock levels and my stock availability across both companies, my retail and my import distribution business. I'm then going to bring some stock in from that import and distribution business automatically, and then supply our customer. So I start by creating a sales order. And create or enter the product that the customer is asking for. Now, as we can see within the sales order, we don't have any available stock within my retail database. So what I can do is drill through into my stock item details screen, and you can see down here we've created a warehouse stock location that gives me the information around how much stock is available in my second company. If I pull up that second company, take a quick look at that. And we can verify that that is the physical stock that's available within that company and based on that stock location. Back to my sales order. If I now request that stock from my warehouse company, my import and distribution company, I can automate that process by simply ticking on this checkbox, click on save. Because we've got no stock in our retail company, it's asking me if I want to put that on back order. Now, that has just done a number of things. If I drill down into my stock item and take a look, I've just brought stock into my retail company. But more than that, I've created a supplier's invoice from my import distribution company. And if we take a look at our import and distribution company, we can see that We can see that we've created an additional, we've created the debtor's invoice out of that company. And we can take a look at the stock which will have been supplied. Here it is here, and we can see down here my available stock is now down to 4. We should have we've built in a small margin for the supply of that stock between the two companies. So we can also manage margins as well. So we have quite simply given your salespeople an amazing tool to deliver on customer expectations. Being able to have the visibility to view stock across multiple data sources is invaluable. In this instance, we've integrated 2 Exo databases, but we can, without too much trouble, integrate alternative sources as well. So you can bring in information from your, it could be from a CRM system into your Exo. Or it could be even from a spreadsheet or from any other data source that you can think of. We can integrate that and give you visibility through your Exo system. But we're not finished yet. So we've brought our stock in and we've got it sitting here ready to go inside our retail company. So I'm ready to ship the stock, and you know, in another scenario, this could have been shipped direct to customer, straight from the warehouse and distribution company. But let's just give it some shipping details. And we've got a feature here where we can confirm this by email to the customer. Hit quick supply. Supply our order. Invoice has been generated and everyone's happy. It's going to take a minute or 2 for that email to turn up. So I'm going to move on to our next topic, which is simplification. And we'll make some starts on that, and then we'll come back and take a look at that customer order acknowledgement email that's been generated automatically. So in order to, on the topic of simplification, we're building on the concept of less is more. Simplification involves removing the clutter and getting down to what's important. Now, a lot of companies, over time, your Exo system ends up built up with reports and functionality that your staff or your users don't really need. Over time, reports stop working for whatever reason, and they just sit there on your menus. They build up and cause clutter. Providing your customers, sorry, your employees with meaningful reporting in the places where they spend the most time is a great way of making a meaningful difference to their working day without investing huge amounts of money. Bear with me while I log onto another database. In this scenario, I am logging on as a salesperson. And in a quite simple process, I'm going to show you how you can simplify and present meaningful information quite simply. And hopefully you can all now see that new company. Now, as I said, David is a salesperson. There's not a lot of functionality that he needs in order to perform his role. But what he does need is good, meaningful information. So if we go into our sales tab, we can see that David's sales workflow has been simplified. We've taken it down to just the key pieces of functionality that he needs. But we've also presented him with meaningful reporting. David's, this report that we have here is daily sales analysis, which is specific to David's requirements. So we have the number of sales and the dollar value of the sales that he's made today. And we've got that sitting inside his workbench, if you like, inside Exo, where he's going to be doing the most of his work, adding and maintaining contacts, creating new sales orders, looking up invoices, etc., etc. David also has access to maintain debtors, but what we've done is we've restricted what access David has to that debtor account so that he can only update those details that are restricted to address information. So he can't get into any what we would call an admin function. Okay, now let's take a look and see if my email has turned up. Here it is. Hopefully you can all see that. So the important point to note is that this email is written in HTML. It has good formatting. Our logo sitting up the top here, I think we can probably embed that in the email as well, rather than having it sitting there as an attachment. Provides all the details that the customer would need. And that is all generated straight out of your Exo database. So we haven't used any additional software in order to achieve this. This is simply written within your Exo database. Okay, the last topic that I wanted to address is innovation. And as Stephen alluded to earlier, we're going to take a look at some of the new features that we've got in an upcoming version of MYOB Exo. So again, if you'll bear with me for a moment while I connect to another database. In today's market, more than ever, those who don't innovate and evolve are left behind. MYOB are continuing to develop the Exo product to provide you with more tools in your toolkit. Today, I'd like to show you the next feature that they're introducing to the Exo suite, cash flow reporting. MYOB have developed functionality to tag GL transactions that affect cash flow and have created cash flow statements out of those transactions. The intention is that this functionality should be usable out of the box without any heavy upfront investment. So before we get into what it looks like, we're going to go under the hood a little bit and take a look at how it's set up. As we can see, it's at this stage, it's still in beta stage. The final product may differ slightly to what you see here. And in Exo config under admin, general ledger, we now have a section called cash flow classification. If we drill down into, sorry, before we get past that, we have three main classifications: operating activities, investing activities, and financing activities. And then those three main sections can be broken down into additional classifications. This is what they've set up by default, but they can be added to and edited and removed to match your business requirements. If we drill down into one, we can see that we can see the section that it's associated to, and there's some additional details which are captured, which flow through to your general ledger transactions and ultimately through to your cash flow statement. So let's take a look at our general ledger accounts and see how we can configure this within our GL accounts. First of all, let's take a look at our bank account. Inside our general ledger now, we have this additional section called cash flow analysis, and we can determine our banks as being bank accounts. If we take a look at, say, our cost of sales, we can see under cash flow analysis, this is not a bank account. It's a classification, and then we get to choose the section that's most appropriate to this general ledger account. So under operating activities, we have a classification of supplier payments. So how does this play out? Obviously, the transactions that get posted through to your general ledger, once the cash flow analysis has been set up, will be tagged with these classifications. That enables cash flow reporting to be developed. And if we take a look at our reports, we have some reports here, some new reports here. Let's take a look at this cash flow details report. Hopefully you can all see that. So, as I mentioned, we can now generate a statement of cash flow. What this is not is a cash flow forecasting tool. All we're reporting on is what's our statement of position, rather than what our position is going to be into the future. But by tagging these transactions with as operating activities or investing activities or financing activities, we can use this information as a tool, as one of your tools for accurately forecasting future cash flow. We also have a cash flow classification report. I'll quickly bring this up on the screen. Which is basically giving us that breakdown of where all our GL accounts sit in terms of our cash flow analysis. So you'll be using this report as a sense check to make sure that you've configured your GL accounts correctly. Okay, so that's the main aspects of the presentation that I wanted to cover off today. If we have time, we'll open things up to questions.